Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful week. Like always, I am continuing with my Bjork discography journey, and we're in the year 2004, 16 years ago when she released her fifth studio album called Medulla. Now, there are 15 tracks on the album. I'm looking at the track list, and none of these tracks look familiar to me. But like always, if I start listening to a song and it sounds familiar, I'll let you guys know. I am always excited to check out a brand new Bjork album because I never know what to expect. I've had some crazy experiences listening to some Bjork albums. You don't believe me? Check out my other Bjork videos. It's always a unique experience, each and every one of her albums, so I never know what I'm getting myself into. But nonetheless, I'm extremely excited to check out this album, so let's get into it with track number 1, Pleasure Is All Mine. Alrighty, and that was track number 1, Pleasure Is All Mine. Pleasure indeed. Um, my interpretation of the song is that it's definitely a little sexualized just from the panting in the background of the song. And the lyrics as well, the pleasure is all mine to get to be the generous one. And then she says at the bottom, who gives most? The pleasure is all mine. Women like us, we strengthen most. Host like, when in doubt, give. She could obviously be singing about sexual pleasure in the song. I don't know if that's the intention, but just from hearing the panting and moaning in the background of the song, and then I'm reading the pleasure is all mine, and then who gives the most, when in doubt gives. So giving and receiving during a sexual experience, perhaps. Björk has touched on sexuality and sex in general in quite a few of her other songs on her prior albums, so I wouldn't be surprised if the main essence of this song was about pleasure when it came to sex. Anyway, let's move on to track number 2, Show Me Forgiveness. Alrighty, and that was tracks 2 and 3. Track number 2, Show Me Forgiveness, was very short. It was just over 1 minute, and it was just her vocals, just her singing. There were no instruments, which was really nice. She was saying, show me forgiveness for having lost faith in myself and let my own interior up to inferior forces. The shame is endless. But if soon start forgiveness, the girl might live. She could be singing about wanting to be forgiven for her past mistakes, for the endless shame that she feels for letting in inferior forces and for having lost faith in herself. And then she says, but if soon start forgiveness, the girl might live. So if she is forgiven, if she starts forgiving herself, if people perhaps start forgiving her, she might be able to restore whatever it was she lost. She might be able to live once more. I mean, I could be just talking out my ass right now, but that's what I'm getting from the lyrics. And then we moved on to track number 3, Where is the Line, which was very interesting. I think the production on this album is very unique. I mean, the production on any Bjork album is very unique, but this one in particular, it's almost spooky and haunting. And no coincidence, it's almost Halloween. We are in the month of October, and I'm definitely getting spooky Halloween vibes from this album and the production. Just lots of interesting sounds happening on this song, and I don't really know what she is singing about. I'm trying to decipher the lyrics, but I'm having a little bit of issues here. She keeps saying, Where is the line with you? Where is the line with you? I want to have capacity for you and be elastic love, to be elastic, to be flexible perhaps. She wants to be flexible with her love and this person. Where is the line with you? So what is the line that she can't cross, that she can't go over? She wants to be flexible with her love, but where is the line? Where is the line that she can't cross and go over with this person? Where is the limit? Where is the boundary? Those are the words I'm looking for. Boundaries and limits. Where is the line with you? In the beginning of the song, she also says, My purse wide open, you ask again, I see the crime, and cash into accounts everywhere. So my purse wide open can be metaphorical, but it could just be very blatant and obvious. She's opening up her purse and giving cash to this person. I see the crime. So this person is using the cash that she gives this person towards illegal things. Perhaps they're using it towards drugs or some sort of crime operation. I don't know. I honestly have no idea, but that's what I'm getting from the song. And then she says, I want to go out of my way for you. I want to help you. Where is the line with you? So she wants to help this person. She's giving them cash. She's trying to support them, but they're not being generous with what she is giving to them. And this goes back to track number 1, Pleasure is All Mine, where she's talking about giving. Initially, I thought the song was about sex. The pleasure is all mine, to get to be the generous one, to give, who gives the most. So she's giving to this person sexually. But from what I'm reading in track, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off topic and my mind's just drifting here. Where is the line? So I feel like there's a connection there as well of giving and receiving, giving to someone who needs help. And she also wants to be forgiven for whatever wrong she did in the past. And this is going back to track number 2, Show Me Forgiveness. So she is giving and she wants to give, but she wants to be shown forgiveness for the mistakes she possibly did in the past. And I don't normally do this when I do these videos, but it's almost necessary for me to actually look up the meaning of each of these songs after I'm done listening to it. So when I'm done listening to one of these songs, I kind of form my own interpretation of it. And then I look up the song meanings online to see what other people are saying. Some people are saying that the song is addressed to her younger brother. Some people are saying that something is being done that is violating the singer's morals. So I am really enjoying the story that she's telling on this album so far. We're only 3 tracks in, and I'm actually having a lot of fun. So now we're gonna move on to track number 4, The Kuro. Alrighty, that was track number 4, Vikuro, and I don't know why I get so emotional when I hear a choir, like a church choir, but I always do. There's something about it that just brings tears to my eyes. It's so beautiful to hear. She uses quite a few choirs on this album, actually. And the whole song is sung in Icelandic, I believe, so I don't know what she was singing. So I actually had to look up the translation of the song. My farming yours, sleeps happily at peace, falls snow, silent at dusk on earth. So I did look up the translation of the song, and I have no idea what she's singing about other than it's a very beautiful song. Some people are saying that it's an apology song. Some people are saying that it's actually a lullaby. So you know what? I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it uninterpreted. I don't know what it means. So if you guys know what this song means, leave a comment. So now we're gonna move on to track number 5, Ol Bertad. Alrighty, that was track number 5, Ol Bertad, and this was another song that was in Icelandic, and I don't know what she was singing. It's another beautiful, interesting song, and I tried to find the translation online, and I couldn't find it, but I did find the meaning of the title of the track, which is translated into English as All the Brightness. Björk says it means all the brightness because a lot of this album is a touch to when I was 18 on that farm writing my first all vocal songs. This is a step to how I would do those songs. A lot of foreigners probably think it's Icelandic, but it's not true. It's gibberish. It says all the brightness and me trying to break through a wall for the light to shine in. That sort of deep poetic stuff. So Björk says that the song is just gibberish. It's not Icelandic, it's just poetry, and it's beautiful. And that's another thing I noticed was that her vocals on this album are in the forefront, and I feel like this album is her most vocally savvy album out of all her albums so far. You can really appreciate her vocals on this album, and it's really nice to listen to. So now let's move on to track number 6, Who Is It? Carry My Joy on the left, Carry My Pain on the right. Alrighty, and that was track number 6, Who Is It? Carry My Joy on the left, Carry My Pain on the right. This was another very unique song, and his embrace a fortress, it fuels me and places a skeleton of trust right beneath us. Bone by bone, stone by stone. Who is it that never let you down? Who is it that gave you back your crown? And the ornaments are, they're going around. Now they're handing it over. They're handing it over. I have no idea. When she says his embrace a fortress, that's some sort of comfort, how he's embracing her, and it's like a fortress. She feels secure, she feels safe, and it fuels me and places a skeleton of trust right beneath us. Some people are saying that she's talking about someone that builds a strong structure, a foundation, someone that gives you support. And then she's saying, well, she's actually asking you to think about who inspired you. Who do you turn to pick up, keep you going. And some people are also interpreting the Carry My Joy on the left and Carry My Pain on the right as yin yang balance. Some people are also saying that they think the song is questioning our creator as to why he made us. Can I just say that I really enjoyed this album? I always enjoy every single Bjork album I listen to. I really enjoyed Post and Homogenic and Vespertine and her debut album, but this one is just as good as her other albums, in my opinion. So now let's move on to track number 7, Submarine. Already, that was track number 7, Submarine, and I loved the harmonies on the song. It was very interesting, and I don't know the word I'm trying to reach for here, but there's something very tribal about this album. A lot of these songs, in my opinion, sound like some sort of chants or poems or obviously stories. I mean, most music is a story. Any song is a story. Lyrics, poetry, a diary, some sort of tribal story being told like around a campfire, or I don't know if I'm the only one who gets that impression listening to this album, but that's kind of what I'm picking up when I'm listening to the album for the first time. When will it be time to document? Do it now. The submarine behavior. Do it now. When time to return, do it now. Shake us out of the heavy, deep sleep. This submarine behavior. So when you're in the submarine, you're below the surface of the water, and perhaps when you're in the deep sleep, it's almost like you're in a submarine. Or maybe when you're in a submarine, maybe it almost feels like you're in a deep sleep because you're so far below the surface of the water. I have no idea. Someone says here that the side of the speaker that writes has been asleep for a while, and she wonders when she would start writing again. The answer is, of course, do it now. Some people are also suggesting that she's singing about being on the edge of suicide. Apparently, Björk herself said that it's about the part of her that writes songs. The submarine part of her, do it now, is her telling herself to write the song now or forever lose it. Inspiration is fleeting. Oh. I am so bad at interpreting these songs. I wish I was better. It's so hard for me to choose which of these songs so far is my favorite because honestly, I'm loving this whole album so far. So as to which song so far is my favorite, I don't know. I love them all. So now let's move on to track number 8, Desired Constellation.
It's tricky when has done something on your behalf. Murmurs underneath. Have I come to make it right? Have I come to make it right?
Alrighty, that was track number 8, Desired Constellation, and this was another great and beautiful song. It's tricky when you feel someone has done something on your behalf. It's slippery when your sense of justice murmurs underneath and is asking you, how am I going to make it right? And then she says, with a palm full of stars, I throw them like dice repeatedly on the table. I shake them like dice and throw them on the table repeatedly. until the desired constellation appears. How am I going to make it right? So she could be alluding to someone who did something for her, and now it looks like it was in the wrong. It's slippery when your sense of justice murmurs underneath this. Ask you, how am I gonna make it right? So this person did something for her, and it was screwed up, perhaps, and now she's saying, how am I gonna make it right again? So perhaps her way of trying to make it right again is coming up with all these different solutions in her head and going through them and just trying each one to see which one sticks and which one works. Like dice at random, throwing some dice on a table randomly to see what she gets until she gets the preferred result, until the right constellation, the desired constellation, appears before her. I also loved the production on this song. There's something very peaceful and calming about it. It's very euphoric, and I'm just really enjoying this album. So now let's move on to track number 9, Oceana.
One breath away. Every is a snake, is a lily, made into flesh. Islands you count. Race in my waters. Your sweat is salty.
Alrighty, that was track number 9, Oceana, and the production on this song, oh my god, I couldn't even pay attention to the lyrics because I was so distracted by the production. It was very, very interesting. You have done good for yourselves since you left my wet embrace and crawled ashore. Every boy is a snake, is a lily, every pearl is a lynx, is a girl. One breath away from Mother Oceana. One thing she could be alluding to in this song is how not everything is what it seems to be. For example, every boy is a snake, is a lily, and every pearl is a lynx, is a girl. So don't mistake someone's appearance for who they really could be in the inside. Every boy is a snake, but also every boy is a lily, every pearl is a lynx, but every pearl is also a girl. And someone did an interesting interpretation of the song by saying that the snake could symbolize masculinity, and the lily could symbolize femininity, and the pearl is femininity, as well as linked to the clitoris, and the lynx could be a hunter. So these are gender boundaries, and states that there is feminine and masculine parts to all of us. So I was kind of on the right track by saying that every boy is a snake and every boy is a lily, so not everyone is as they appear to be. So I was kind of on the right track by saying that in the sense that we all have masculine and feminine qualities to each and every one of us, perhaps. This also reminds me of the age-old saying of don't judge a book by its cover, don't judge someone based on how they look. And what's also interesting is she says here, hawks and sparrows race by waters, and stingrays are floating across the sky. So hawks and sparrows are supposed to fly in the sky, but now they're racing in the waters below. And stingrays are supposed to be swimming in the water, but now they're floating in the sky. So this could mean, I don't know, just because you're a certain way doesn't mean you need to be confined into a box or a stereotype. So just because you're a man doesn't mean you need to do something a certain way. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you need to do something a certain way, regardless of your race or sexuality or gender. Just because there's this stigma or stereotype of how you're supposed to do something based on the color of your skin or your race or sexuality or gender doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You don't have to confine yourself to a box or a stereotype of what you're supposed to do. And once again, I could be reaching here. Maybe I'm just rambling and what I'm saying right now isn't making sense, but This is how I'm interpreting the song, so it is what it is. Anyway, let's move on to track number 10, Sonnets and Unrealities.
So, and I say, and if your lips, if on another's face your sweet LA, if this should be, I say, if this should be you of my heart, accept all happiness from me in the lost lands.
Already, that was track number 10, Sonnets and Unrealities, and she's saying here that it may not always be so, and I say that if your lips, which I have loved, should touch another's, and your dear strong fingers clutch his heart, as mine in time not far away, if on another's face your sweet hair lay in such a silence as I know. So she could be singing about a lover of hers, someone that she has kissed and made love to. If your lips, which I have loved, so the lips that I have kissed, should touch another's, then shall I turn my face and hear one bird sing terribly afar in the lost lands. I mean, this is pure poetry right here. It says here that the song is based on an E. Cummings poem. And I failed to mention that the song is actually called Sonnets Unrealities, and then there's a Roman numeral for the number 11. And someone interpreted the song by saying the speaker imagines a future in which her lover is with another woman, one in which she would go up to that woman and wish her complete happiness in that relationship. Afterward, the speaker would wander off in sorrow. So the speaker of this song, or Björk herself, is singing about this person she used to be in a relationship with, who's now perhaps dating someone else, and now Björk is going up to this woman and acknowledging her and wishing her complete happiness for being in a relationship with someone that she used to be in a relationship with, and now Björk is kind of wandering off into the distance, full of sorrow. Accept all happiness from me, then shall I turn my face and hear one bird sing terribly afar in the lost lands. I feel like I could keep going on and on, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. Anyway, let's move on to track number 11, Ancestors. Alrighty, that was track number 11, Ancestors, and wow. I don't really know what to say about this song other than it was just very interesting to listen to. It's very tribal. There was chanting, and it was just very fascinating to listen to. I still felt like there was a story being told, and that there was a story being told to me. To me, this might be one of Björk's more vocally impressive albums. I don't know, I really have to go back to the rest of her albums in her discography that I've listened to already, but I'm very much impressed with the vocals on this album. It's definitely a very unique album. Most Björk albums are very unique, but this definitely stands on its own, and it's very, like I said multiple times already, I love the choirs and just the strange sounds that people are making with their vocal cords, the tribal sounds, and the chanting, and just the very interesting, at times, spooky production of the song. Also the poetry. I mean, this is very poetic, this album. And when I read the title of the track, Ancestors, and then I actually listen to the track, it's kind of taking me back to thousands of years ago when people would probably sing songs like this around a campfire, very religious, and it would be very tribal. They would chant, and it's kind of taking me back to that time period. I don't know if I'm talking out of my ass right now. I really don't care. I'm just telling you how I feel. And that's how I feel when I listen to the song. It definitely seems a little religious, almost like you're trying to communicate with your past ancestors from a long time ago. I'm kind of looking into what other people have said about the song, and some people have said that the song kind of freaked them out, which is understandable. But one person says here that the title of the album was actually supposed to be called Ink because of the ink in our veins. Björk wanted to create an album that's ancient and ended up changing the name to Medulla, Latin for bone marrow. She wasn't even going to put lyrics, but the idea was to make it as human and natural as possible. And that's the word I was looking for, primitive. That's what the song reminded me of, the song Ancestors. It's very primitive and ancient. Those are the words I was trying to reach for, but I couldn't come up with them. You hear the panting and you hear the growling. This is very common throughout the whole album. You hear a lot of panting and strange voices and sounds that people are making with their voice box. And the whole album's just very primal and ancient, and it's just a very interesting experience. I am so happy that these people on the internet are helping me out with this album, because if it wasn't for these people on the internet leaving their interpretations of the songs and commenting, I would be lost right now. So now let's move on to track number 12, Mouth's Cradle. Alrighty, that was track number 12, Mouth's Cradle. And the song is probably my least favorite song on the album. I wasn't really interested in it. I couldn't really get into it, and I don't know, it didn't really resonate with me, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. There's yet another one that follows me wherever I go and supports me. This tooth is warmth like. This tooth is warmth like. And these teeth are a ladder up to his mouth. And someone says here that the song is about breastfeeding. Oh. Okay, well, I'm an idiot. The nurturing she provided her children, Björk had just given birth and was recording Medulla. She goes into this on the DVD. The mouse cradle are her breasts. Oh. She does say at the end of the song that she needs a shelter to build an altar away from all osamas and bushes, which is some sort of religious reference, or she could be talking about, I don't know, when she says bushes and it's capitalized, she could be singing about President Bush, who was the president of the United States back in 2004. He was still president, so she could be alluding to that. So now let's move on to track number 13. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm going to try my best. Mioveku. Let's get into it. Alrighty, and that was track number 13, mioveku, and it was another primitive song. It was very tribal, and it was very short. It was just over a minute, and it was nice to listen to. It definitely keeps up with the theme of the album and the sound of the album. So now let's move on to track number 14, Triumph of a Heart. Alrighty, that was track number 14, Triumph of a Heart, and this was a lot of fun to listen to. It got my body moving, and The vocals, once again, the things these people can do with their voices is just so fascinating to me. I personally feel like the song is just about breathing. It's about your heart and how it pumps the oxygen through your body, how you take in oxygen to your body, and how your heart essentially keeps you alive. The triumph of a heart that gives all, that gives all. So the triumph of a heart is that it keeps you alive. That's the triumph of a heart, that it gives you your life. Smooth, soft, red, velvety lungs are pushing a network of oxygen joyfully through a nose, through a mouth, but all in joys. So the oxygen is just being pushed through your nose and your mouth, all through your body. Just like the rest of the album, I really enjoyed myself listening to this song. And we still have one more song to listen to, track number 15, Cobin, which is a bonus track. Alrighty, that was track number 15, Cobin, the final track of the album, and this is another great... It's just... I don't know what to say anymore. It's great. It's just purely vocals. The things these people can do with their voices is amazing, and it's a great way to wrap up the album. And that is all 15 tracks of Medulla, and... where do I even start? This was an experience. Every single Bjork album I listen to is an experience, and I experience something new with each album I listen to, and this was so unexpected. It was simply remarkable. I love how primitive this album was. The things these people can do with their voices. There was chanting, it was very tribal, the choirs and the harmonies. This was simply beautiful. This whole album was just beauty, and the poetry. I've never listened to an album like this ever in my entire life, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Every single song on here I loved. I feel like her vocals on this album are some of her best vocals ever on any of her albums so far. And I don't know what to say that I haven't said already in this video. Rarely do I applaud after listening to an album. I've done it a few times, but very rarely do I applaud an album. And I'm applauding this album because I think it's great. I don't know how you guys feel about this album. I don't know if people generally like this album. I don't know if people generally would put this at the top or the bottom of their ranking lists when it comes to ranking Björk's albums, but if I was to rank her albums after I'm done listening to her albums for the first time, I would definitely put this album, Medulla, near the top. This is definitely 100% a Bjork album I would go back to, just because it's so unique sounding. All of her albums are very unique sounding, but this one in particular, I mean, I've never heard an album like this before. So what do you guys think of the album, and what are your favorite tracks? Maybe you don't like this album as much as I do. Tell me why. And also help me out with some of the messages on the album when it comes to themes and things she was trying to get across through the lyrics and her voice. What are some things I missed? It does say here that the album received generally positive reviews, with many calling it unique, though some people did deem it a little confusing. I mean, the album was a little confusing, but what Bjork album isn't confusing? Let's be real here. Definitely a very, very, very unique album. So now that I'm done Medulla, we're gonna move on to her next album from 2007, 3 years later, called Volta. So look out for that video, and I think that's all I wanted to say. So thanks for watching, guys. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, you can message me, you can tell me other artists I should check out. I'm open to any artists from any decade. You can find me on Apple Music, you can check out my playlists, and so on and so forth. So Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.